Nolan, very good to see you. Today, we're going to talk about the 6 core issues every financial plan should address. A solid financial plan isn't just about investments. It should cover 6 key areas that impact your entire financial life. If even one is missing, your plan may fall short. So the first issue is actually a question. Is my plan aligned with my goals? But how will we know?
Yeah, thanks, Erin. This is a very good place to start. Is my plan aligned with my goals? Goal setting and objective setting is very important in retirement, and the first thing that you have to do is figure out what those goals are.
Right.
So, do I want to grow my money? Do I want to take income off my money? Is it trying to provide me a house 10 years from now? Do I need a car? So, figuring out what the plan is the first and most important thing, and then making sure that based on your goals and your plan, your finances will suit that.
Mm. Next, we have income, sustainable income to take us to and through retirement.
Income is the first main thing that we address once we get a formal budget in place with clients. So, we'll talk with the client first meeting, make a lot of discovery questions, and ask a lot of different things. But the main thing is, what are your expenses? Once we figure out what your expenses are, we can then calculate your income, what's going to be Social Security, what can you get from a variety of other sources within your portfolio, and then how to create the most sustainable income source so that you have a great chance of being in your 80s and 90s and still having a good pile of your nest egg.
Mhm. Number 3, I think, is what a lot of people think a financial plan is. It's just one component, though, that is investments, and it's so much more than just your ratio of bonds to equities. Can you explain what's involved?
Yeah, the investments, when we get beyond stocks, bonds, things like that, what your investments really should do is number one, meet a certain expectation you have for rate of return after all fees and costs of investing. But number two, be conscious of whatever your other objectives are.
Mhm.
So, we'll talk about taxes briefly soon, but, are my investments aligned with my tax objective? Are my investments aligned with my risk objective? Are my investments aligned with my goals for, long-term planning in a variety of different regards for my kids, for my grandkids? So, this investments, that's a piece of it, but what are my investments doing, and will they achieve whatever the objective is at the end of
Mhm.
the road?
Mhm. And you just mentioned it, that is taxes.
Yeah, taxes, one of the biggest concerns that we have throughout retirement. Taxes, inflation's another one. But taxes are set to go up at the tail end of 2025.
Right.
And I don't know, a lot of economic research is indicating that taxes will need to go up generally in the future if we're ever going to make any type of dent in national debt, deficit, things like that. So we do expect taxes to be a big consideration over the next 10 or 20 years, and it's important to start planning for that proactively.
Right. Taxes, one of your biggest expenses. Also, one of your biggest expenses, healthcare.
Right. Healthcare, Medicare. A lot of times, Medicare won't be too much more expensive for folks unless your income gets above a certain threshold. It's $100,000 roughly for a single person, or $200,000 for a married file jointly couple. But healthcare costs right now are a little bit expensive anyway. They always have been. When you have the government come in and try and implement cost controls or things like that, it then limits these companies from being able to, I don't know, I guess, give you more affordable health insurance to cover for their lack of profits. So, healthcare, health insurance is something that I expect over the next couple decades will probably need some type of revamping. But at
Mhm.
least for the time being, it seems like they want to increase the cost of healthcare somewhere around the rate of inflation each and every year.
Mm.
So if
Right.
that's going up at the rate of inflation, you also need your investments
Right.
alongside that doing the same.
And last, is your plan aligned with your goals for a financial legacy?
Legacy planning, usually the last stop for most folks. What's my estate going to do? What's my legacy after I pass away? Where does all my money go? And how is it going to pass on to my beneficiaries? So oftentimes we look at, does a trust need to be involved in any of this process? Is it important to get money out of IRAs prior to it being in the hands of the next generation? Are there grandkids or 529 plans or many other factors that can go into it when you're talking about legacy planning? So
Mhm.
legacy planning is probably that last step for retirement planning, but one of the most important too, because a lot of people want to leave behind something. You want to make sure that you leave behind something that, people have a good memory and an easy time inheriting.
Right, right. And leave it behind in a tax efficient manner, which is why
Yes, you
all of
can.
these components are interrelated. I can tell, Nolan, that you really like putting these puzzle pieces together, which again, it's going to be different for everybody. So if somebody wants to come for you for that financial plan, what's the best way to reach you?
Well, they can call at 616-301-2581 or go to our website, which is cornerstone-rp.com, and just ask whatever question you might have at the contact us box at the bottom of the page.
Nolan, thank you.
Thanks, Erin.